So right here and right now, join me as we invoke our center. Now and always, let us recognize that we live, move, and have our being in God. We are part of this universal mind. We are one with all that is, all the qualities and the wealth of good and desirable things that exist in the universal mind are ours right here and right now. Breathe that in. We are this one life, this one expression. We tap in, tune in, turn on to the frequency of pure love, world peace, health, and wholeness. We are present, awake, and aware to all that is, has been, and shall be. We feel the presence of Spirit moving with us, as us, and through us. And we hear the deep music of joy, renewal, and transformation. So right here and right now, we give recognition and thanks for our center, this space and place where we can come and be together, the fellowship, the inspiration. Whether it's in person or online, we know that we have said yes to today, this now moment, and all that is ours to experience, be, witness, and declare. So for this and so much more, I release it to the divine working of law, and together we say, and so it is. Our candle lighter today is Susan Hunter. We are an interfaith gathering, a spiritual community that honors all teachings and all spiritual teachers. We begin today's service with this lighting of our candles. So we begin the first one with Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. Shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of pristine spirituality. Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as a path of love. Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Our final candle is the healing candle of love. I invite you right here and right now, in the stillness of your own mind, maybe lowering your eyes, putting your full attention on your breath, and bringing to your awareness any name, person, place, thing, or circumstance you wish to include in this healing flame of light and love. So let us breathe that in, and let us release. You're welcome to open your eyes. Now that our flames of faith are fully lighted, we move into today's service, realizing, embracing, and affirming that all paths lead to God. Our inspirational quote comes from Science of Mind founder Ernest Holmes and his writing in a book called This Thing Called You. No harm can come to you when you know God is at the center of everything. This knowledge will protect you from all evil. Evil is as night before the onrush light of your consciousness. It is as darkness dissipated by the sun of your faith. It is as fire extinguishes by the waters of your spirit.
Today I'm going to focus my talk on a Hindu story, and this takes place. There is a battle going on between demons and the Hindu gods. Well, the demons are winning big time. They are really putting the hurt on the Hindu gods. And so the gods got together and decided what they were going to do. And they said, well, let's ask Durga for help. One of the goddesses was Durga. And Durga is known for compassion. It seems a little strange to go to the god of compassion, but that's where they went. And Durga said she would do something. And so out of her head sprang Kali. Now, Kali is a female, and she is a badass warrior. Can I say that? I'm probably not supposed to say that. But she is a warrior. I mean, she jumps into this battle, and she's killing people right and left. And boy, she's just going to town. And she gets so wrapped up in it, she starts killing everybody. She's not only killing the demons, but she's killing the good guys too. And so to try and stop her, Shiva, another god, threw himself at Kali's feet to get her to come to her senses. And she looks down and she sees Shiva at her feet, and she realizes, oh my God, I've got so wrapped up in killing that I almost killed this God that I love. And so the application for our teaching and what we're talking about this month is that when we go to war with conditions, we can get lost in the battle and we forget our real purpose. And grounding in truth brings us back to remembering. And I think we have a picture of Kali, just so you can see what a tough chick she is. She's got 4 arms. Well, she's bad. Now, we've dressed this one up a bit because most of them she's nude, and I don't know if that'd go over too well or not, but you can see she's got a belt of arms and hands. She's got a trident in one hand. She's got a bloody sword in the other, and she's got a big, long tongue. Kali is a really bad one. She's quite the warrior. So the title of my talk today is Standing on Shiva. You can see Shiva down there on the bottom. Major 3 points today. Number 1, the bird cherry. Number 2, evil. And number 3, and this too shall pass. Okay, point 1, the bird cherry. Ann and I have a beautiful lilac bush in our front yard. I say bush, it's really like a tree. It's probably 12, 14 feet tall. And oh my, it used to be filled with blossoms in the spring. And when the breeze was just right, oh, the odor was just so beautiful. It was just a great, great tree. But a European bird cherry got in with it and began to grow with it. And Anne likes to keep the yard nice and neat and everything, and so she'd get in with her choppers and she would even this tree out all the time. Well, the bird cherry has a characteristic that when anytime any of the branches are chopped, 6 more grow up to take its place. So within just a few years, the bird cherry's taken over the beautiful lilac bush. The result then is that now we only just get a very few blossoms, and this, it's also called a Mayday tree or Mayday bush, has taken over. And it too has beautiful blossoms. They don't last very long. They turn into berries. Birds eat those little berries and then they go digest them and deposit them somewhere else, so the thing spreads like mad. and wildlife doesn't care for it. Moose don't eat it. They won't eat it. I don't know if it's actually poisonous to them or not, but it's definitely not moose food. And it takes over from plants that are moose food. Alder, birch, and all of the other things that moose typically eat are now taken over by the bird cherry. Well, my Hindu story has several symbolic elements. First, the main demon has a gift that if he is cut, any drop of his blood that touches the ground results in a duplicate of himself. This archetype shows up in many cultures and in the bird cherry. It's just exactly the same thing. It represents the experience that no matter how hard we try, the problem that we're trying to solve just grows and grows. And you've heard me, I've said this many, many times. This is worry. When we worry about something, we just create more of it. We're focusing on what we don't want instead of what it is that we want. And we know that where attention goes, energy flows. You, each and every one of us, are the creator of our own thoughts. And where attention goes, energy flows. So when we focus on something, that is what we are creating. So when we worry about something, we are actually creating more of what we don't want. Where attention goes, energy flows, and manifestation occurs. There seems to be no problem. Faced with this, we can become hopeless. And in this story, the gods are losing hope when they turn to Durga. And it is interesting that a goddess known for her compassion is the one that they turn to. Merriam-Webster defines compassion as sympathetic consciousness of others' distress together with a desire to alleviate it. So we have, on one hand, consciousness of somebody else's distress, their pain, their loss, whatever, coupled with a desire to alleviate it. Without that desire to alleviate it, we are left with just pity. And that really doesn't move us in any direction at all. That moves compassion out of ineffective pity. And we are called to alleviate suffering, others and our own. Ernest Holmes reminds me of one of my favorite quotes of his: "The world has learned all it should through suffering." Now, Callie bursts forth with the correct tools and tactics. She has a bowl to catch his blood. Oh, we lost Callie. But in one of her hands, she's got 4 arms because she's a killing machine. In one of her hands, she's got the baddest bad demon's head. She cut it off, and she has a bowl to catch his blood to keep it from falling on the ground and duplicating himself. But she also has that big old mean tongue, so if some does actually hit the ground, she can go down and devour it. Eventually, his head is severed, and this can symbolize that when we prevent the seeds of suffering from hitting the ground of our consciousness, that they no longer replicate. It takes a fear-focused attention to do so. Point number 2, evil. Evil is live, or live, spelled backwards. And we can use this metaphor to realize that there aren't any really evil people or forces in the world. They're just people living backwards who use the life force to create harm and separation instead of creating greater expressions of aliveness, loveness, joy, and unity. People question why evil people can come to power. Why is it that we can see the Hitlers of the world? We can see some of these horrible leaders in Africa and some of these other places, how is it that they can come to power? And how is it that we can have unscrupulous, mean, nasty people become so amazingly wealthy and everything? And these are just people who are using the principles that we teach. These are people who have embraced the ideas of prosperity and abundance. They have embraced them, they activate them, they use them, and they get the results of what they put out. Now, they also reap the rewards of what they do. We know that we live in a reciprocal universe, and what we put forth out is what is given back to us. It's that mirror that I talked about last week, and so that is reflected right back to us. But it's, we want instant gratification, and sometimes that takes a little bit. But this idea of being able to flip evil into live gives us an idea of how to overcome the experience of evil by flipping it into alignment with life. When we no longer provide a grounding for the evil idea of evil in our minds, we see people and circumstances differently. Now, Callie, in addition to being this really bad warrior, is an expression of the divine mothering principle. She's an expression of infinite oneness, and as such, she can absorb all the seeds of the demon without them growing within her. And as we become ever more aware and grounded in our oneness with all of life, not only will the seeds that others want to call evil no longer affect us, we will become so clear that we can absorb them before they create more fear, anger, and separation. Like Callie, we must be fierce practitioners of truth in order to be truly effective in shifting consciousness and thus circumstances in the world. Last point, and this too shall pass. I thought I better look that up, find out where it is. I thought that was in the Bible somewhere. Well, guess what? It's not. That is not in the Bible. Where it originated was early 19th century in Persia, today known as Iran. And it was a common household sort of a saying, things like we have today, and this too shall pass. But I think it says an awful lot. What it's saying is that all of these things that we experience in the world are all temporary, and this too shall pass. The things that are eternal are the truths. These are love, peace, beauty. Those things don't pass away. This beautiful day that we have out there, what a gorgeous day. That's permanent. Now, it may change forms. We may have sunshine, but this too is a beautiful day. Shiva is known as the destroyer in Hindu tradition. Many different religions, philosophies have a trilogy. They have three aspects within our movement. We have the seed, soil, plant, otherwise known as spirit, soul, and effect. Christianity has the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Many things have a Trinity. The Hindu Trinity consists of creation, and then nurturing, and finally destruction. Creation, protecting, and destruction so that something new may emerge. It's the cycle of life. It's right out of The Lion King. Ernest Holmes reminds us that spirit is forever taking form and forever deserting the form which it has taken. When we realize that this too shall pass, we bring a calmness to our work. We can take on causes, seek to improve the world and ourselves while realizing that the demons that we face will pass. Our challenge comes in wanting instant gratification. We want it all now. While the entirety of the divine is present now, we would be blown into non-existence if we expressed it all. Remember, Moses was told that he couldn't look upon the face of God. And that's happened in many religions, many different things. We're told that we can't experience all of the goodness of the divine. Ernest Holmes told us there is no process of healing, but there is generally a process in healing. The process is the time and effort with which we undergo our realization of truth. We will not enter heaven until we can all enter together. Conclusion, what I want you to go away with today. Out of our compassion, as opposed to pity, out of our compassion for the world, we must take action to alleviate suffering. Without action, we're just pitying spectators, hoping and wondering if possibly some good will come along. Our action will be far more effective if we understand what it really means to happen and what we are really seeking to create. The old saying is that if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, is to be kept in mind. If we are truly committed to creating a world that works for all, then we will be called outside of our comfort zone. We would be called to use methods that we may not be familiar with. As we face circumstances, our first practice should be visioning. What does Spirit, not my ego, what does Spirit want to express here? Then, what must I become and release to allow this vision to manifest? We must stay grounded in the truth of spiritual principle so we don't go off in a frenzy, destroying everything in sight, like Callie. And finally, we must be patient. Just as if we were teachers in a school, we would compassionately find ways to support the learning of the slowest children. We must compassionately support the learning among all of us. We must find ways which may not be our way to reach people who are struggling and suffering. Ernest Holmes reminds us and believe that we are all sure to attain this goal. So it is with this concept that there is a permanent, never-ending truth, capital T truth, behind all of everything, and that all of the circumstances within our lives are temporary. I invite my colleagues, the practitioners, to join me in holding this capital T truth for our congregation, for our city, our state, our nation, for the entire world. To know that in spite of the appearance of dis-ease, there is that which is perfect within each and every one of us. There is that which is greater than this disease. God has never been sick. God has never had a broken leg. God has never had the flu. And we know that beyond these diseases, these things that happen to us, these effects, that truth is that we are magnificent, beloved expressions of the Most High, and at our core, we too are perfect. In spite of the appearance of lack and limitation, not enoughness, that we live in an abundant universe, a universe that is so vast, so large, so prosperous, that we never have to worry about what to eat. We never have to worry about the heat or the cold or the weather. That there is that within us that sustains us and holds us and takes care of us. And we know that in spite of the appearance of separation, whether it be in our workplace, whether it be within our family, whether it be between ourselves politically or any other way, that it greater than that separation is the very nature of our being, which is love. That we are greater than separation because we are one in love. And so we just give thanks. We give thanks for our awareness of the greater truths which lead us and guide us. We just give thanks. We let it go now because we know that infinite creative force, all of those gods, including Callie, are fighting for us. We are greater than the bird cherry We're greater than any effect. We give thanks, we let it go, we let it be, and so it is.